Hello, my name is Cory Deal, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator for the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership. Efforts to restore the Everglades and its fish habitat began decades ago, and sportsmen and women have been steadfast advocates for the funding and policies needed to restore water quality and healthy habitat to the River of Grass. Today, I'm excited to be speaking with Chris Whittman, co-founder and program director for Captains of Clean Water, who is going to bring us up to speed on the latest challenges facing the Everglades and why hunters and anglers can't let up when it comes to the fight for unique habitats of South Florida. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Cory. Thanks for having me.
So, Chris, the 2020 hurricane season has been one for the record books, and Florida has not completely avoided this incredible storm season. Could you tell us how weather events such as hurricanes impact water quality in the Everglades?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the Everglades today receive only 1/3 of the water that they naturally received and that ecosystem needs. And what we've actually seen is sometimes, contrary to what you would expect from hurricanes, is we've seen some positive impacts or some examples of what can happen to that ecosystem if it gets the amount of water that it needs. Hurricane Irma is a great example of that. A tremendous amount of water was put into that system from that storm, and the result was this little kind of window period of recovery where we saw huge crops of new snook and redfish and grasses starting to come back. And although it was fairly short-lived, it was kind of an example or proof that if we can get water into that system, that it does have the ability to recover. In Florida Bay, for example, at the southern end of the Everglades, in 2015, they lost over 40,000 acres of seagrass. And when that seagrass was there, it really helped to bind the bottom and the sediment when we had hurricanes come through that area. Since losing that much seagrass, now when we get a storm that comes through Florida Bay and into the Everglades, it stirs up the bottom and the silt, and that then can linger for days or weeks after that. So we've really seen, as we lose seagrass or as we lose oysters, the impact of hurricanes on those ecosystems and on water quality becomes more drastic.
My second question is, just as land-based plants and animals require clean water in order to survive, freshwater and marine ecosystems rely on good water quality in order to thrive. As a fishing guide turned conservationist, could you tell us a bit about how water quality issues in the Everglades and beyond have affected anglers, captains, and the Florida outdoor recreation economy?
Absolutely. As a fishing guide, I've seen the decline in the health of our ecosystems throughout my lifetime as a result of water quality and poor water management. In Southwest Florida, we've experienced massive volume discharges from Lake Okeechobee, which has resulted in seagrass loss, oyster bar loss, and really losing those things are the foundation for those ecosystems. And we've seen the impact that has not only on water quality, but also the quality of the fishing. The same thing is true in the southern end of the system. The very water that inundates our fisheries on the east and west coast naturally would have flowed south to Florida Bay. And we've seen the impacts there where Florida Bay gets too salty because of the lack of that fresh water. And it's resulted in seagrass die-offs.
Just playing off of that question, the Everglades Drainage District was created in 1907. Since then, water has been diverted, specifically fresh water, away from flowing south into the Everglades. This history of water movement throughout Florida is something that's very important to the captains. And I have a question. Have things gotten better over the years? And is there a way for us to ultimately fix and restore this water flow?
Sure. So I would say ecologically, things have gotten worse. And the reason for that is 100 years ago, that system was altered, as you said, and that decline that starts, the longer the decline happens, the more rapidly that it happens. So it's gotten worse and worse as time goes on. The good news is that this isn't a problem that we are looking for science to figure out how to fix it or what needs to be done. The solution is known. It's actually the largest restoration project ever to be undertaken in the world. It's known as the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan. And in a nutshell, it's 68 projects that will reconnect the flow of water from the central part of Florida through Lake Okeechobee into the River of Grass and ultimately all the way to Florida Bay, rehydrating that system and reconnecting that system that was segmented and compartmentalized by man.
My final question, Chris, is we all understand that the federal government has been involved in Everglades restoration, but what should lawmakers in Washington do to continue this work, and how can anglers in Florida and around the world help?
Sure. Everglades restoration is somewhat unique in that it's a partnership between the state government and the federal government. And the biggest limitation on advancing Everglades restoration projects is consistently funding. And I think the most important thing that lawmakers in Washington, D.C. Should know is that investing money into Everglades restoration is exactly that. It's an investment. It's an investment in the future of our economy, not only here in Florida, but across the country. Florida is one of the top states for the fishing and boating industries, and many of the businesses that rely on those economies are based outside of Florida, but are very affected by water quality and what's going on in Florida. As far as sportsmen and outdoorsmen and women, the biggest thing that we can do to help get that consistent funding that's needed from the federal government is to be involved, to make our voices heard. We have seen that when we do start to see progress and move the needle in the right direction, it's because the outdoor community has been involved and gotten involved. And if we expect to see these projects through to completion, it's going to take years, if not decades, and it's going to require the outdoor community remaining vigilant and vocal to continue to drive progress and funding to advance those projects and ultimately restore the Everglades.
So thank you, Chris, for joining me on this call to discuss the important issues of surrounding Everglades and Everglades restoration. If you guys are interested in learning more about the Everglades, please leave a question in the comments and we will do our best to address it. If you're interested in learning more about the TRCP, head to www.trcp.org or follow us at the TRCP on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Chris, could you tell us a little bit about how to reach out to captains?
Sure. You can visit us on our website at captainsforcleanwater.org. And you can also check us out on social media on Facebook and Instagram. Just search Captains for Clean Water.
Great. Thank you.